Okay, man, are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Now, come on, now crank this motherfucker up.
Break it down like this.
Hello, Internet. Gino, that Pinguino Greco here again with another episode of Deep Listens. And today is a very special deep interview. We have on David Shoy, REDACTED, the developer of Cycle, a game that we covered. Was it early? I forget if it was earlier this year or late last year. We played a beta in progress version of Cycle, which is now out. And so we thought we would check back in. I'm joined by Em Palladino. How you doing, Em?
Hello, I'm doing well. A little earlier than our usual recording, so I'm trying to turn on still.
And like I said earlier, we are also joined by David Shoy, REDACTED, developer of Cycle.
Hello, it's me. I made a video game.
Good job. That's
Thank
hard.
you.
One of the
Yeah.
hardest things anyone can
Really
do.
hard to do, especially by yourself. So, congratulations on having your game actually come out. A feat that is even harder than making the game itself.
Mhm.
Yeah, way to decide you were done at a point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one. Very rarely does that happen, and excellent work on doing it.
Yeah, sometimes you just keep working on it, and then 10 years pass or whatever.
So before we get into the interview, reminder, you can get in touch with this show at deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com. That's our email address, deeplistens.libsyn.com. We have our comment sections for this show and more. You can find us on deeplistenspodcast.bluesky.social, and you can support the show on patreon.com/deeplistens. At the $1 tier, you get access to our Discord. At the $3 tier, you get access to the OG Soncast, our anime podcast that is exclusive to Patreon supporters. David, where can people find you and your stuff if they wanted to?
I mostly reside nowadays on Blue Sky. Shall I say at Bisky Social? That's mostly where I go nowadays because Twitter is not very good anymore and they destroyed co-hosts, sadly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am
Rest in
mostly there.
So it's Shoy Slayer at Blue Sky?
Or
Yeah.
.bluesky.social?
Yeah.
Regular?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Nice. And also people can find Cycle on Steam. If you have not played it, it'll probably help your knowledge of this interview if you have. But check it out if you want to try out a cool indie platformer. Without further ado, Em, you're steering the interview. I am here as
I'm
an
in
assistant.
charge. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So for people who have not played Cycle or have not listened to our coverage of it, could you give us a quick rundown of what the game is? Like the elevator pitch.
So basically, the game follows Lana, which is 22 years old, and she lives in a town called Mosstown. And what happens is there's a huge tower called Tower of the Stars that sustains basically the entire country that she lives in, and it shuts down periodically, and they send someone in to fix it. The last person who was sent to fix it was her mother, and she never came back after that. Tower was fixed, and she didn't come back. They only found her soul. And what happens now is Lana is going to the tower to try, because it shut down again, to try and also like reactivate it and also find out what happened. In terms of gameplay, it's a metroidvania. It's heavily inspired by the Mega Man games, specifically Mega Man Zero, and a bunch of other stuff that we'll probably talk about in this interview.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll get around to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the basics.
Yep. So the main character, Lana, she is kind of our foil for the world and the stuff going on with her mother. Why focus on her and her uh, issues? What makes her compelling to you? And if you want to get into her girlfriend, I don't know what to call her.
Friend who is a
Girlfriend
girl,
is correct. Like,
roommate.
Yeah, this is
yeah.
what's her name? Lana and I don't remember. Shit.
Yeah, but it's Verona.
Yeah,
Lana and
Verona.
Verona.
Verona. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm looking
Yes.
at the achievements where it says stuff like this. Um. So yeah, what's interesting about them as characters?
I think what's interesting about Lana is how she compartmentalizes her grief a lot. She doesn't really like in the start of the game. She doesn't really like share with anyone. Only with Verona later, like what she's going through and how she feels. And Cyril is kind of like her journey from like becoming more closeted about it and like not trying to involve anyone and like not listening to how she feels to like
Mm,
more accepting of like what happens and how she feels about it.
mm, mhm.
And
Uh, mhm.
What
Go ahead.
inspired you to create these characters?
I think it's like I wanted to basically also unpack some of my own personal grief
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
from like my personal life.
mm,
Specifically, when I started working on the game, it was based on like relationship that I was in a long time, and it didn't like pan out for one reason or another.
mhm,
Mm-hmm.
And like I had this like feeling of like we would argue a lot, and then like the next day everything like would be fine, and like we wouldn't really talk about it, and it was kind of a strange feeling,
mm,
strange uncomfortable feeling, which I wanted to explore. And then
mm.
since the game took 7 years to make, it like
Yeah.
a lot of other experiences kind of like blended in and like changed both like the tone of the game and like the kind of grief
Mhm,
that I experienced and like was walking through at the time. Like my grandmother passed away 2 years ago, and that was like I
mm,
was very close to her, and cycle came like a part of like how I felt at that time and like
Mm-hmm.
how I dealt with it like came into the game basically.
yeah. For big projects like this, it can be really cathartic, especially if you're working on it through several life changes.
D-
Um,
Speaking of that, like, did you find that you like obviously each of these big life events happened as this game was in development? Did you find that you kind of went back and changed earlier pieces of the game kind of with your new perspective, or do you feel like there are parts of the game that really capture how you were feeling at the time? Like, is there a section where, okay, my grandmother passed away around this time, this is where a lot of that stuff you feel is kind of unpacked?
Yeah, I feel like as the game went along, like it's just kind of involved like as I went. Like you can see I don't know how much you can see it if you don't like know me personally, but like you can see parts that were like written earlier because like they talk about certain aspects, and then other parts that you can tell that were written like right as I was like going through the certain life events because you can
Mhm.
judge by the tone.
mm,
And I think like what's really interesting and like what's cool to me is that like a lot of stuff, early stuff got like recontextualized and like I because of like how the game evolved and how it changed. So uh, managed to make it feel like, or at least that's how I feel that everything connects together in like a very interesting way that like makes you think about it more like the more you go through.
Hmm.
That's cool. And
Yeah.
did you design like the game itself like sequentially? Like level one is the first thing you made, level two is the second, et cetera? Or did you work on one piece, come back, make changes, move levels around?
Mhm.
Mm.
It turned out to be like extremely messy, to be honest, because like it took that long. I they like start working on it sequentially, but like in my head, I already knew like what the final level should look like and like what I want to put in it. But I started working like on the first stage because I wanted to make a demo so like people can play it
Yep.
and like not have to like go through basically the entire game to just get to a point that I want to say do. And then like I took breaks, and then because the game is not linear in nature, I worked on like several areas at once, like smaller parts for each area at the same time until like that area I was working on was done, and then I moved to another.
Mhm.
And then after like that big mess in the middle of just like working on like several stages in kind of like a whirlwind, then I just like started working on the final stages and like the final touches.
Mhm. As far as like how the levels are connected, was that just sort of what was available to like the let's see, there's like the construction site in the beginning, and then it goes into the is that the
Mirror
mall
Hall?
that's next? Yeah, the
Yeah.
mirror hall was interesting because that's kind of like not related to the site at all. Was that like planned out, or was it just like I have some space here, so it could go here, or is that like story like they uncovered it as they were digging up the construction site, sort of uh, meaning, you know?
Yeah. It started out as just like I want a cool area for like the secret boss to be in.
Hmm.
And then as I went along, it was just like I could expand this area and like I could make sense that like make it make sense that like this area is in this position if I like position the larger mirror hall later down the game next to it.
Hmm. Okay. And then as far as the bosses go, there are some interesting ones, particularly there's like a giant scorpion, which is one of the more like a lot of them are people, and then there's a giant scorpion. There's the giant like snake that happens in the mall. Uh, how do you decide what your bosses are going to look like? Is it like I want a certain mechanic? Uh, is it an interest in like the design of the boss first, or is it like I think the story fits for this one?
It's kind of a mix of all of those. I really, really like designing bosses. This is like
Hmm.
that was like the thing I like the most working about Cycle is just like thinking about bosses, like how I could make them interesting, like what mechanics would be cool, what designs would be cool.
Hmm.
So I would usually like go and like I have a cool idea for a boss that like uses this mechanic, and then I would try to like work out their design and like how it relates to the area that they're in.
Hmm.
And I wanted to like make some non-human bosses to just like vary it up because I didn't want like you to just like fight people all the time, but
Hmm.
like also have like these like giant spectacles fights that like you fight the giant worm and like the mall and you fight the giant scorpion that they were just like whoa
Hmm.
moments.
Hmm. Yeah.
Makes
And
total sense. Speaking of like Metroidvania design, once you have a like Metroidvanias, you add a new movement mechanic or some new weapon, and usually that will unlock some sort of door, some sort of gate to get to a new area. How do you decide, like, as you're coming up with new mechanics and new movement mechanics, how do you decide when to go back to an earlier area to have something to backtrack to? Like, do you always have kind of an idea of, okay, I'm going to put some Easter egg after you get the charge attack back, 2 levels ago, versus, oh, I had some space here and I left it here, and I always intended to have something you need a double jump for, something like that.
I mostly try to like make it make sense
Mhm.
for it to be there. If I put like an upgrade or an item there, it's just like I think it would be interesting mechanically, and not just because like, well, I have certain amounts of like moves slash keys that you need to unlock something, and I need to like place them all throughout the game so you don't feel like it's wasted.
Yeah, and as far as the Metroidvania like mechanics go, how'd you decide which ones to put into the game? And like knowing the genre, there's always a double jump, and there's always like a dash. Um, and I know you get the dash like really early in this one. How'd you decide the kit? Uh, which ones do you like the most out of the kit too? Just genre wise, you always like to see like an air dash,
You get the dash really early on because I just really, really like dashing in these games and like in platformers in general. I love to go
Mhm.
fast. So
Yeah,
when I
it
started
feels
working
great
on,
too.
yeah, uh, when I started working on Cycle, I was just like, well, I want the dash to feel satisfying, and a lot of
Mhm.
people found it like really weird because of how it operates. Like you don't start moving at max speed when you go at it; like it incrementally builds up. But
Mhm.
I think it went and created a really interesting way that like you can control it and like control your speed both with jumping and like how much you hold it,
Mhm.
which created like a really interesting way to play the game.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Uh,
and it made me like really happy when once the game was out that like people really really enjoyed it.
mhm.
Yeah, I think it was a really smart choice to start with the dash, because I definitely, having played some other Metroidvanias recently, moving slowly is. I know that eventually most of these games give you a dash, but moving slowly for the beginning X amount of time until you get that dash, it feels like a before and after in a really significant
Mhm.
way in these games a lot of times. Like, there's before the dash when the game is slow and kind of clunky, and then after the dash,
Yeah.
in a lot of
Yeah.
cases. And you just skipped that part and just said, what if you could always dash?
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah, and it was
Just
really
run
fun
fast.
to design around the dash and like make the platforming feel to it because like now you can like you don't have to like worry about like, oh, I can't make it there. And sometimes you can even like make it places that like I hadn't intended, but I left it in because I thought it like created something interesting that like you can just do things in a way that I hadn't expected, but like doesn't ruin the game experience. I
Mhm.
feel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
and
one that
you
I
also.
you,
Oh, go ahead. You go first, Em.
yeah. The one that I think of that is like getting to a new place that I maybe shouldn't be able to access is on top of the mall. I don't want to spoil what's up there, but I really liked like getting to that point and then being able to like maybe I can get up there. And I think that was really well done, especially in that part. Um, so if there is like an area like that where you're like they can sort of like jump off the side of the screen or something, uh do you like block those off, or are you like, oh, I'm gonna put something neat behind there? Like, do you want people to be like bumping up against it, you know?
I do want people to be like to explore it and to bumping up against it because like the worst thing that could happen is just like there's nothing there. But if
Hmm.
there is something there, then you're like, oh, I feel so smart. I like
Yeah.
thought of like doing this one maneuver that like maybe I wouldn't have otherwise.
Hmm. Yeah.
And you start people off with the wall jump too. Like, the game starts with the wall jump and a dash, which usually both of those are late game in
Mhm.
Metroidvanias. How did starting with wall jump being live impact your overall design? Is it in most games that unlocks like traveling all over every single room?
Yeah.
Um, so did you find it limiting? Did you find it freeing to start with so much mobility allowed?
I found it really freeing because I could like design more vertical areas, for example, because you don't have to like struggle just to get places, and I could like there are like feasible ways for me to gate. You just like skipping over things by making like a certain edge to like a cliff that like you can climb over. And it's made just designing the areas a lot more interesting because I didn't have to worry about like, oh, it has to be only horizontal or only vertical,
Mhm.
and you can like fully explore the possibilities of movement
Mhm.
in the game. Because again, movement was like extremely important for me when I worked on Cycle.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, and as far as like uh, some people in the Steam reviews say that this is kind of like lower difficulty than you might expect for the genre. Do you feel as though like you were making like a little easier than most games you would play in that uh like space? Um, as far as like getting around, I don't know if the bosses are uh, a little yeah like
They're not brutal when compared to some of the other games in
yeah.
this genre.
Just
Um,
to put it into perspective, we just played Hollow Knight Silk Song, which
it's on the very different spectrum when it comes to how much it hates you as a
yeah,
player.
yeah, it's pretty brutal. But compared to this one, this is like a nice time. Do you want it to be like a little nicer than most, or are you like upping the difficulty as you're tuning?
I think like I have like this pet theory that like I can't prove because like there's no tangible way to measure it. That's because Six On came out like a few weeks before Cycle did.
Yeah.
So everyone was like playing that game, and like that game, as you said, is like extremely hard. I still haven't
Mhm.
played it, and I think I will very enjoy it because I am a sicko that likes these kinds of difficult games. But like since that game came out like a few weeks before Cycle, everyone's like difficulty tolerance went extremely high.
Uh-huh.
And then like Cycle came out, which I was actually worried that like, oh, I may have made it too hard in like some places and like these rooms are evil, and everyone was just like, no, that was like a pretty easy time. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, yay.
Yeah, and it because you have so many benches and save points. The save points and the benches are pretty liberally laid out, at least in the beginning of the game. Um,
Mhm.
it's easy to heal. So making mistakes, it's not like you could make two mistakes and you're done, or you need to backtrack a
Right.
ton. Um, so how did you decide where to kind of put those? I mean, there's save points, which are true checkpoints, and then healing health points, which are kind of checkpoints. You know, you can make a fresh new batch of mistakes after you've healed up. So how did you decide to use kind of the save points and the benches and kind of dole them out the way you did?
Mhm. I thought it I thought it was like mostly I have a lot of friends that like aren't gamers, like that don't play video games very casually. Or like at all. And I really wanted it like Cycle to be accessible to them because I wanted them to experience the story and like everything else. So I made a decision to like if I think there's like a section that could be pretty difficult, I would put a bench there. And if
Mhm.
I feel like it's a pretty difficult section that people would die a lot in, I would put a save. And
Mhm.
as like a general rule of thumb, because I really hate backtracking, I always put save points before a boss
Mhm.
because
Yeah, there
uh,
isn't the run up that we need to worry about, which is nice. Uh,
Thank you for
it
that.
feels very like Mega Man, where you just go back into the hall like right before the boss. Uh,
mhm.
yeah. Speaking of Mega Man, uh, this game is inspired by it lists Mega Man Zero, um, which you can definitely see in the combat. Um, what other games do you think like went into this one?
Mhm. Yeah, obviously Mega Man Zero and like all of the Mega Man games. I'm a huge Mega Man fan.
Hmm.
A lot of Kirby. I really like Kirby a lot. Specifically, I think like a huge aesthetic inspiration was the Game Boy Advance games, the DS Game Boy Advance era games
Mhm.
from the Kirby franchise. Some of my favorite Metroidvania's Cave Story for sure, which was like the game that made me go like, "Hey, I want to make a video game. I maybe I can do that one day."
Hmm.
Uh, and L- La Mulana, both one and two, which
Mhm.
you couldn't tell because Cycle is like much more nicer about it. But like,
Hmm.
there's still like a huge inspiration both in like the puzzle design and some of the aesthetic design.
Hmm.
Toho, um,
Oh yeah.
for obvious reasons, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's like so much more because I have been also like playing a lot of video games as I was working on it, and like if there
Mhm.
was something cool, I was just like, hey, that maybe could work. And I'd incorporate some of that in.
It just absorbs everything into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from an art style perspective, the art of Cycle's very unique. I was wondering what inspired you for how you've drawn Anna and the other characters in the game, and even like your color palette, I think is quite distinct from what I see in a lot of games like this. A lot of yellows and purples, um, a lot of earth tones going on. So I was wondering, like how did you choose kind of how you draw humans and draw characters? Like what influences do you have there, and what made you choose kind of the color palettes and look and feel of the game?
My answer like evolved over a long time. Like I think like even the development of Cycle itself, like I could pull up like very early art that I did, just like concept art that I did, and like it looks like not miles different, but like it's a lot different than like what the art for like say the Steam cover is now.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And like I did like have a lot of I really like impressionism drawings specifically. I really like the
Hmm.
palettes in there, and I really like the way like the colors is laid out. Obviously, video games, and specifically, I really enjoyed the really detailed style that like the La Mulana remake and La Mulana 2 have. Like
Mm.
they're like pretty realistic and like with very uh, good and interesting color palettes. And
Mhm.
specifically, I think I really got an appreciation for like limited color palettes from working on pixel art, because when you might want to make something that's like really clear and like really legible with like on a small screen, you really have to like pick your colors very carefully to make it really pop. And that kind of like went over to like the rest of my art,
Mm.
like my drawn art.
Makes sense.
Mhm. And you were doing all the pixel design yourself, right?
Yes.
Hmm. Um,
Basically,
mhm.
basically like the workload distribution as it is just like I have three people who did the music for the game.
Mhm.
Uh
That was my next
Terminus.
question.
Yeah, there we go. Speedrunning this. But
Mhm.
I have Terminus, Mati Terminus, that that like was there from the start and like did most of the tracks, and then there's Lying Pink, which did a lot of extra tracks, and a good friend of mine, Rom M, that did two tracks for a certain character that is a secret boss, and I cannot say.
Mm. No spoilers.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. Uh, so, how would you describe the workload of like the actual making the game compared to like sitting down and being like, I'm going to design a character today. Do you think it was like easier to come up with concepts and then like doodle them, or was it more interesting to like say like work on mechanics?
I think it was more like I really liked first of all like doodling, so I can get like an idea for a mechanic because like
Mhm.
I through the game I just found out I really love designing characters, and then once I have like a character design, I would like think of like what's a cool mechanic that I could incorporate that would really complement this character.
Mhm. So you think it's like character first and then the mechanic comes out of that? Or is it like, I want to do this mechanic and so I need to base a character around that?
Mhm. Usually it's the character that comes first, but sometimes I would be like, I think this is like would be like a really cool boss mechanic, so I should design a character that like fits that.
Yeah. Um, and then the the story has a bunch of like secret bosses, or is it? There's at least two. Um, how do you decide like what is gonna be secret, like quote unquote secret, and what is like main story? Sort of like you have to fight this boss to proceed. Um,
I think it mostly came down to like difficulty,
mhm,
because like I like it did like go some like story reasons later for like why this specific boss is like secret and why another boss isn't, but like mostly it was just like I feel like these bosses are like a significant step up from like the difficulty you expected going through the game,
mhm,
so they're like hidden away for like people who are like seeking these extra challenges.
mhm. This one's for the sickos.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like some of the more difficult bosses, like we talked about the mirror room. That was when I was like, oh, this is the juice, you know? Uh that's when I was like, oh yeah, I'm feeling it. So I can see how those are for the sickos is appealing to me.
Mhm.
Um,
As a sicko.
yeah, as a sicko,
Exactly.
exactly.
I
Um,
am I am also a sicko, so I completely get you. And now I'm so happy that people are just like, "Oh, this was pretty alright. I had a normal time with it, so I can be like a real sicko later
uh,
down the line."
yes. Uh, Gino, did you have something from that?
No, I just wanted to call you a sicko. No,
Oh,
Good.
no, the I definitely appreciate that the game has it has a happy path through which you do
mhm,
not have to engage with those additional mechanics or some of those more challenging bosses, but then there is that additional depth there for people who want to find it, you know. And
mhm,
it's not especially hidden either. So
mhm,
you I think in a normal playthrough you will find some of these areas, and if you make a note of it and decide to double back, it's pretty easy to figure out. Okay, this is a place I should go back to.
Yeah. I
mhm,
had like a really interesting experience happen uh when the game released.
Hmm.
Like that apparently I was like was in the community to like see if there's like any bugs or like any feedback that I should be aware of. And apparently like someone beat like the game, like got the normal ending, did all of that without like going into the mall at all. Which is
Wow.
huh.
like you can technically do that. There's like nothing story gated in the mall. There's like the boss in there and like something else, but there's like nothing that like is stopping you from like getting the normal ending if you don't go to the mall at all. But still I was just like I read it and I was like, how?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. And as soon as you put a game out into the world, then players are gonna be like, "Oh, I figured out how to beat this in like 5 minutes." They're like, "Oh, I just did a wall hack or something, and and now it's
What?
over."
Speaking of that, have you gotten what was the wildest bug report or glitch that someone found during either playtesting, beta, or since release?
Mm. It's, playing better there were like a lot. There were so much. I don't think like we have time to recount all of them because again, it's like 7 years logged of
Right.
like playtesting and stuff like that. But I think like post release, one of the like most confounding ones was just that you could get half a weapon technically at
Huh?
earlier releases, which
Half a
basically
weapon?
yeah, which what happened is just like half a weapon, like half an item, like any sort of like equipable item. So what would happen with weapons? It was like the most amusing. Like you would have like the basic animations for like one weapon, and then like you'd go and charge it, and like you'd have the charge attack for another weapon.
Huh.
And
Huh.
well, eventually I found out like thanks to like suggestion from a friend that what happened is on the if you use like the analog stick on a controller,
Mhm.
the values weren't like normalized, so you could
Oh.
get like fractional movements when you like switch between items, and that caused it.
That's so
Oh.
funny.
Oh, so the
Yeah,
fractional analog stick, when
Right.
applied to your menu, made fractional items.
Yep.
yeah, exactly.
You're trying to get like a value of 2, and then you're getting like 2.5, and it's going over to 3. I understand. That's
Oh man.
Yeah,
oh,
it
that's
was
one
just
of
like
those things.
Yes.
it
Video
didn't like
games.
exactly. It didn't take long at all to like fix it. Like took me like 1 second to just like find the line that does it, normalize the values, and that's it. But like
Right.
when I like found that out, I was just like, man.
Of course.
Was
It's
it just
always
like messing
something.
up a table or something, or was it setting a value somehow by you going in the menu? Like how does how did the game not crash? Is my
Yeah.
that's what's more confounding to me that someone got 2.5 and the game just worked instead of crashing entirely.
Who
Yeah, it's like
knows?
it still has like the basic value of like the weapon before, so it like or like the armor before, so it doesn't like crash because it doesn't go like, oh, I should change this value. It's just like, oh, I have a weird value, but that's okay. I
Right.
still have like the previous value I can refer back to.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's amazing.
Yeah, that's funny. Um, Speaking of controls, Gino had some questions about your choice of buttons.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
had a quick question on default keyboard controls. Uh, Z, X, and C as the jump, dash, and attack buttons. I don't see that very often. What inspired you to pick those as kind of your default action buttons?
Well, I like didn't really grow up on like I guess traditional console games. And once like we didn't really have a console other than like the PlayStation 2 in the house. Like most of my early video game years were like on the computer, specifically
Mhm.
Flash games, legally obtained
Uh-huh.
games,
Yeah, legal backup copies. Uh huh.
legal
Th-
backup
yeah,
copies of games.
this is what I assumed before we started recording. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's a legal backup
Oh,
situation.
those are legal backup controls. Okay.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
these are legal backup controls.
Uh-huh. Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that
like
makes sense to
that was
me.
just like what I'm just like used to since like a pretty young age. So when
Uh-huh.
the people like went and it's like, what the hell are these controls? I was like, I don't know. That's what I'm used to.
Shrug.
Just get your
Uh,
legal backup copies of your Super Nintendo games, and then you'll understand.
yeah.
Exactly.
Geez, people don't even know the legal backups anymore.
No.
Sad.
Mhm.
Um,
Making this game, what tool set did you use to actually build it,
Yeah.
build the
What
game? Did you
program is this
use
in?
yeah? Did you use a program, or is it all from scratch? I don't know.
I use a program. I use a program. I'm not that like proficient yet. I used Game Maker, which
Hell
famously
yeah.
was used by Undertale
Hmm.
and now is being used by Deltarune. Mostly out of comfort. I used to have like a work at a summer camp teaching computer programs to like children,
Hmm.
kids, and one of them was Game Maker because like it's pretty easy to use like at the beginner level. There's like you don't really have to know any programming to make a basic game. And I like already had knowledge in it. So and I didn't really I have like some programming background but not a lot.
Hmm.
Now I do. But like when I started I was just like, well, I need something simple that I could work with.
Makes sense.
So
Yeah,
I
I've,
chose
I've
Game
worked with
Maker.
Game Maker some myself, so that would have been my guess, but I didn't want to assume. Um, are you so if you came in without that much programming knowledge, did you have any formal training in game design? What made you get into making a game yourself for 7 years?
Not really. I only got like formal training in game design pretty much halfway into like making Cycle at university. But before that I just like wanted to make a video game. I was really passionate about it. I played Cave Story again at a young age. And I was just like, wow, that's so cool. I wish I could make a video game one day. So I kind of like learned on the way, which made like for a very buggy first demo. But over time, like I really got in, like I really enjoyed the technical aspect of making a game. I really started enjoying programming and like figuring stuff out, and it became like one thing that like I really enjoyed working on.
Yeah. And you've worked on other smaller, like different style games. I know I played like a bullet hell that you released on itch, I believe, not too long ago.
Mhm.
um so it's transferable to any genre, really. uh which was interesting. Where do you think you're going to go from uh Cycle now that Cycle is out? Is there going to be a Cycle 2
Cycle 2,
someday?
cycle harder.
Yeah, Cycle DLC perhaps? What's the roadmap look like?
Ideally, I would really like to like add some more stuff to Cycle. I really, really, really want to make a boss rush, like an
Oh
arena
yeah.
style thing, like they have in Kirby games.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
it's also like since the game is out now, I just like I have to justify it somehow, like putting more work into it. But I really, really want to. So please, make Cycle
Yeah.
really profitable, or at least profitable enough for me to be like, hey, I can do this.
Look, the
Hmm.
Other
fans
than
are
that,
clamoring for it.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
uh
Other than that, I like have some games ideas floating around. After like Cycle was released, I finally like started messing around in Godot,
mm.
which I've been finding like really enjoyable, and like also it's just like you feel like a caveman after you mess around with Godot when you've been doing gaming here like your most of your life. You're just like, oh my god, you can just do these things. You don't
Yeah.
have to like program in like 10,000 fail safes. You can just like
Mm.
tell him to do the thing and it will do that.
Yep. This
Amazing.
is going from Unity to what's the epic game
Unreal Engine.
maker? Unreal Engine. Yeah. Where
Yeah.
it's like, you mean it's just coded in there that like I don't have to, mess around with all these values? Uh yeah,
I press
nope.
a button and it does something, and the game doesn't crash because I forgot to put an exception for
Yeah.
if you hold two buttons down at the same time.
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
boy.
I would
Don't
like to
get me
make like
started.
some, yeah. I would like to make like some smaller games
Hmm.
before like tackling my next, hopefully not 7 years
Yeah.
project. And
Uh,
like,
Go ahead.
So, as someone who came in without, did you have a programming? You didn't have a programming background. Didn't really have much of a game design background. How many files is this game? Like, how was your file management? How? Because as someone who's started game maker projects before, it can get rough. It can be a lot of
yeah.
stuff just kind of floating around in the design space. So I'm wondering, did you get a system for organizing things, or uh, is it a nightmare if people went into your program file?
At the very beginning, and like there's still like some remnants of it, of like old code that is just like so messy, but it's just like it works. So I can't, like, I have to look away. I can't touch it. And like same with some files that like are just like kind of like excess. Like I have one file that is just like uh semi-transparent rectangle. Before I knew that like you can just draw them, no, for like programming. I just had that. And
Oh no.
I will say that also Game Maker in general is not built for big games.
No,
Like
it's
it
not.
is it is like whenever I open the second project file, as I have like 5 minutes of just waiting because the program is just like actively creaking, trying to
Oh
get all
no.
the files together to open it.
Yeah, it is outstanding for run-based small games. I feel like getting something from nothing to playable pretty quickly, it's really good at that. Yeah, a big
Mhm.
linear game that has a lot of permanent objects and state that you need to save. Yeah, that's not what it's the strongest at. Oh, speaking of that, um, are there any? So, how much of your game is loaded at any one time? Like, is everything live all at once? Is it having to keep track of every enemy, or are you dynamically shifting things in and out
God,
when you enter
please
an
say
area?
no.
It is like it's per room. It's like it's not. It's, thank God it doesn't like load the entire game in
Okay.
one go. But like I don't have like the fancy systems of just like, oh, it will like only load these graphics into the game when you're in this area. Like all of the graphics are loaded in at the start, but like at least like the enemy management, it's like per room and like
Okay.
stuff. And it's not like every enemy and every object in the game is running at the
Yeah.
same time.
Oh
Okay.
boy.
You definitely had room transitions, so I was hoping that they were actually transitioning, but you never know. People,
They were actually transitioning.
Yeah,
I think like
sometimes, some of these games they don't do that.
they don't, and you notice. You
Yeah.
notice when your computer is very hot.
yeah. I
Keeps me
remember
warm in the
like
winter.
mhm. I remember I was in Sage, which is like both for Sonic games, like original games, and there was this like one game that like per the developer, they said that like everything, like all of the rooms in the game are just like one extremely long room that you go through.
No.
Hmm.
I was just like, you can't like you can do that, and you have, but like please don't do that.
I mean, you can do it, but you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Computer exploding at the thought of it. Um. Okay, so I think we've covered most of what we wanted to get to. Do you have any advice for someone who wants to get into making games? Uh, how would you suggest to approach it? Should they spend 7 years on a passion project?
The answer is no. Please
Yeah.
don't. Like, I don't regret my time with Cycle, and I did learn a lot, and like I had a lot of fun making it. I am a sicko. You should not do as I do. You should start making smaller games to get like a feel of like what making a game is, because you will be surprised how many things you have to think about when making a game.
Yeah.
When I know when I started, I was just like, oh, you just like have to make the mechanics and like put the enemies in the room and like the characters in the room, and that's it. It's
Mhm.
not that. It's not that at all.
You wish
And
it
I
was
think,
just that.
yeah,
Uh,
And I think with smaller games, you can get like more of the scope of like what goes into making a game without committing to like something huge,
mhm.
Yeah,
which I think is healthier.
I usually, when people ask about what making a game is like, I say, well, imagine if you had to make a movie, and to make a movie, you had to start by making the camera.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's
You have
about
to make
right.
you have to make the camera. You have to make the car that drives the cameras
You have
around.
to, you have to make the ground, all of the trees, every actor in it. You also have to create.
You have to, oh boy, from scratch. If you want to make a, what is it, apple pie, you have to create the universe. That's
Yes,
Yeah.
a
exactly.
Sagan quote, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, so don't start with Game Maker. Don't start with uh, making the one big game that you want to put out.
I think Game Maker is probably fine. Just maybe pick a smaller scope if you're just starting. You know,
Yeah.
run-based stuff is really it's
Yeah.
hip, it's now, it's in, um,
Yeah.
and it's
Try
fast.
Godot.
Everybody's looking for the next Blato. Maybe it's
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, Ulatro.
Yeah.
I usually end interviews with some rapid fire questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, first one: favorite game of all time.
Void Stranger.
Okay, best game of all time.
Also Void Stranger.
Okay, some people have different answers for that. Um, boss that has made you the maddest when you have had to fight them in a game.
Ooh. I don't know if it counts as a boss, but like the final level of Psychonauts 1 has made me so mad that I had to just like go outside.
Meat Circus counts. We'll allow it. Meat Circus counts. Um, favorite game music,
Ooh,
not
that's a
including
tough
your
one.
own.
Yeah. I'd have to say like Mega Man 03.
Okay, favorite
Good
mechanic
choice.
in the game.
Dashing, obviously.
Okay,
As with
makes sense. Favorite console ever.
the Game Boy Advance, for sure.
Okay, favorite Game Boy Advance game.
Mm. Also Mega Man 0. Like 3.
Mhm.
Good. Consistency. We like to see it. Best animal.
Best animal. Oh, that's really tough. I really like penguins. Not
Yeah.
like trying to appeal to you. I
We'll
really
leave
do
it
like
there.
them.
Correct answer. We'll leave it there.
Perfect. All right. Any more rapid fire questions? Or
No,
you
that was
want to
it.
leave it on penguins?
That
We're
was
leaving it on
it.
penguins.
Hell yeah. So thank you for doing an interview. Congratulations on Cycle coming out. Everyone should go and look on Steam or Itch for Cycle. Oh, I did have another question. Can I ask one more
Okay.
question? Why is it called Cycle?
Play the game and find out.
Perfect. I figured that would be the answer, but I wanted to make sure we got it in there. If you are curious as to why it's called Cycle, you should play Cycle. Uh, anything else to plug before we forget? dvtzr.itch.io, and your where is it? Your blue sky is Shoy Slayer at .bluesky.social.
Mhm.
Did we get it all?
Yeah.
Thank you so
Nailed
much for giving us some of your time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for interviewing me. It's been really fun.
Awesome. So that'll do it for the interview. Thank you, Em.
Thank you. And if you play Cycle, make sure to leave it a review because that is what it is relying on now.
That's how that works.
Your input is vital. So if you played the demo, give it a thumbs up because it's hard out there for a little indie game.
That's true. Use your mouth to make words and spread the word of mouth. And thank you, David.
Thank you so much.
Reminder, you can get in touch with the show, deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com, deeplistens.libsyn.com. We have all of our comment sections there. Deeplistenspodcast.bluesky.social. That's our social media account. And you can also support the show at patreon.com/deeplistens. Till next time, peace.